Well, hello there, and welcome to the Neuse Sports Show. I am your co-host for this little joyride we do every week at 4:30 on Wednesday. I'm Brian Hanks.
I'm Junior Smith III.
And how is Junior Smith III today?
I am doing absolutely phenomenal. How's Brian Hanks?
Brian Hanks is doing fantastic. So what we do every week here on the Neuse Sports Show, myself and the best sports editor that's ever come through Kinston and Lenoir County. Yeah, that's you. I didn't know if you knew. But what we do every week is we take a look back at last week's games. We talk to one of our coaches in the area, or we, get a personality. We've had Rudy Coggins on. We've had Leica Abibi on. We've had some coaches. This week, very proud to have on Matt Beeman, the head football coach over at Rendell Parrott Academy. I had a chance to it's one of those little neat things, and you've done a lot of these yourself, Junius, when if people knew how stuff works behind the scenes, and if they knew how the duck's legs are swimming underwater, they would freak out. You'll see me interviewing Coach Beeman in this right here, okay, because it was just a few minutes ago that I went over to Parrott Academy and interviewed him.
It's crazy. I mean, you do the interviews like that. I mean, there have been times where I would come in from Fayetteville and just go straight to the school just to interview the athlete of the week or maybe do a story that's coming up.
Absolutely. But you're going to have what a great guy. And I want you to brag on him for a second because, I mean, he really he bailed me out today by doing this interview. So thank you so much, Coach Beeman. But all our coaches in our neck of the woods, especially here in Lenoir County, they're all good guys. And Jay Wilson and Green Central, and, of course, Paul Cornwell and Eden Grifton, we're just blessed to have really good coaches in our area, aren't we?
Without question. I mean, when I look back at everything that's occurred right here in Kinston, Lenoir County, and the surrounding areas, I can't tell you how blessed I am when it comes to football, basketball, soccer, volleyball, tennis, any sport. We really don't know how good we have it at times.
We really do not. But before we get started, I'll tell you what, we can't do this show without our sponsors. We want to give some special thanks to them because they really, we would not be, our beautiful faces wouldn't be sitting here in front of you right now if it weren't for our great sponsors. Let's thank them. First, our good friends over at Lenoir Community College. Junior Smith III, did you know Lenoir Community College's Quick Jobs program provides training so you can get to work in less than 6 months?
I did not know that, Brian Hanks. But did you know that because LCC partners with area employers, you can find not only just a job, but a new lifelong career?
No way, Junior Smith III.
Yes.
Jobs currently in demand include heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, electrical wiring, energy distribution systems, manufacturing, truck driver training, and welding in Junior Smith III.
And if your money's a little low like mine is, tuition assistance may be available as well as nationally recognized credentials.
It's a new year, and it's a new you, Junior Smith III. Let LCC empower you to get the job and career you, Junior Smith III, have always hoped for.
Well, listen here, Brian Hanks. To learn more about Quick Jobs, call 252-527-6223, extension 714, or enroll at lenoircc.edu/quickjobs.
Very good. Also, a very special thanks to KC Crop Insurance. They're here to serve all of your crop insurance needs with more than 50 years of combined experience. They take pride in excellent customer service.
So listen, give the KC Crop Insurance Service Team a call at 252-522-9613. That's 252-522-9613. And tell them Neuse sent you.
Absolutely. And speaking of Neuse, if you have not subscribed to the Neuse newsletter yet, we shamed them last week. You remember? Well, we made fun of people. I saw the crying emoji, up on Facebook Live as we're doing this.
Yeah,
I think we hurt some feelings, but guess what? I don't care.
Me neither.
If you're not subscribing to the Neuse newsletter, what the heck is wrong with you? You need to do it now. How easy is it, Junior Smith III?
All you have to do is go to neusenews.com, click that subscribe button, and bam, you have an email at 7 a.m. with all of the top headlines in your neck of the woods.
Absolutely. So, again, thank you to our sponsors. Please, please, please support Lenoir Community College, support KC Crop Insurance. They are the reason we are able to do this every week. Usually at this time, Junius, we take a second and we look back, and we're still going to do this. We look back at last week's games. We give you the scores. I feel like we need to just take a couple of minutes here. Something very sad happened about a couple of hours, maybe even 3 hours before we came on the air live here. And in the grand scheme of things, people are going to go, why is this so bad? Or why is it such bad news? But it is. Jones Sr. canceled the rest of their season. They only ended up playing 6 games, one in the conference, so they're going to end their season 0-6 or 0-11, 0-6 in the Coastal Carolina.
Coastal Plains.
Coastal Plains. The thing that bothers me the most about, thank you, and I appreciate that,
Yeah.
Junius. The thing that bothers me the most about this, and it's nothing against the Jones Senior folks, because they really do care. The coaches care. You and I know Greg Hampton very well. I don't know Tyler Hale, but you know Tyler Hale.
Right.
I know Dr. Michael Bracey, who is the superintendent of schools. I've worked with him for, good Lord, for 10 or 11 years. There is genuine heartbreak in Trenton right now, and all throughout in Pollocksville and Maysville and all throughout Jones County right now, because they had to cancel the rest of their season. I'm heartbroken for the seniors. I mean, those guys that have worked for 4 years, they're never going to have a senior night. They're never going to have that opportunity. Hopefully, they'll do it during a basketball game this year, which I hope they'll do something like that.
And they definitely deserve it.
Exactly. How does something like this happen? I mean, if your feet are so on the ground in Jones County, Junius, your analysis, how did this happen?
You know, when you look at it, this is a team that prides themselves in Ironman football. This is something they never really had the numbers, but they've had the talent and they've always had the heart. The heart is something that never left Jones County, especially with this season. I mean, just being on the sidelines, and even though the team was getting hit, you know, they still smiled. They still were focused. They were still intent. Unfortunately, you know, a combination of injuries, you know, kids deciding not to play anymore. At one point in time, they had 22 players on the roster. It went down to 15, and it's hard enough to play 11-man football the way that they have with the 22, 23 people. So now when you only have 15, it's that much worse. And I remember I had a conversation with Tyler Hill earlier today, and he was just saying, you know, a lot of the seniors, they were really heartbroken about it because, you know, they didn't know that last game against Pinetown Northside was going to be their last game. And if there's any consolation, it was at home. But I know it's really hard, really difficult for them to really take that. But they all understood what was going on. They all understood that this is basically how they had to do it. And now the question is, where do they go from here?
Exactly. I talked to athletics director Greg Hampton, as I said a little while ago, former head coach, led him to a state championship appearance in 2011. Former Marine. I mean, he's one of the tough guys in our neck of the woods, and you know that. I mean,
Right.
Remember John Davis, who was with him for a while, the best friends. I mean, two former Marines. But anyway, I was talking to Coach Hampton, and this is what has kind of tore me up. You could hear the emotion in his voice. He's not an emotional guy. I mean, he is a tough Marine guy, and he's really upset about this too.
Yeah, I mean, talking to Coach Hampton, he was hurt. Tyler Hale, talking to him, like you could really tell the emotion. And, you know, I could only imagine what Tyler Hale was feeling when he had to actually talk to his team and just let them know, listen, the rest of the football season is done. And, you know, football has always been big as far as here in Lenoir County, and, you know, it's just as big, if not bigger, in Jones. So it's definitely tearing a lot of kids up.
Well, it's heartbreaking. And, again, this will probably be the last time we talk about Jones Senior doing the Neuse Sports Show, definitely this year. But just know our good friends over in Trenton and in Jones County, you're on our minds, and I'm just heartbroken. We'll leave it at that. Let's look at last week's games real quick, and we're going to quick hit these before we get to our interview with Coach Matt Beeman. I was at the Kinston South Lenoir game, 53-0. Kinston won that game. 20. This is the stat. I don't even know if you know this or not. 25 penalties in the first half of that game.
Man.
Combined penalties. That were 25 or 26. It ended up being 29 for the game because we got a running clock early in the second half. But an ugly game. But Kinston won that game, and they won the first leg of the Jimmy Smith Cup.
Right. Dimitri Holmes threw for 6 touchdowns. Kari Pitts, four touchdown receptions, 6 catches, 176 yards. They were definitely in sync.
And I got to tell you, and we're bragging on Kinston because they deserve to be bragged on as well as they played. I really want to give some props, though, to Jeremy Joyner and South Lenoir, too, because here's a team that lost 53-0, but they didn't walk off the field with their heads down. They played very sportsmanlike throughout the game. I mean, dude, if you're down 53-0, Junius, maybe you get a little bit aggravated. You want to swing an elbow at somebody. Not one time did that happen during the game.
And you know what? That's just a testament of the team that South Lenoir has, and also the coach that Jeremy Joyner is.
Absolutely. Well, we'll talk a little more about both those teams, and especially Kinston and that win when we come back after the Matt Beeman interview. A heartbreaker up in Washington last week for our North Lenoir Hawks. North Lenoir goes up there and with a 6-0 record, 1-0 in the conference, and they travel to the Pan Pac. However, they lose 33-6, and a game I wasn't at, obviously, and I don't think you were at either.
Leica was at that game.
Leica BB was at that game. Tell us a little bit about that real quick. We got about 30 seconds on that.
Listen, Washington showed that they are not a fluke, and North North, they had a tremendous start and everything, but the Pan Pack, they were riding high off of the emotional win against Kinston the week prior, and playing in front of their home fans, they wanted to put together another statement, and that's exactly what they did.
Our other game from Lenoir County last week was Parrott Academy, and you did that game 51-36 at Raleigh Grace Christian last week. The other game in our area, West Craven 34, Aiden Grifton 21. But hold the thought about Parrott and Raleigh Grace Christian, because coming out of this interview with Matt Beeman, we're going to launch right into that. I want your impressions of what you saw with Parrott Academy. So, again, thank you so much to Arundel Parrott Academy head football coach Matt Beeman for, I was about to say sitting down with me, but we were actually standing out on the Hodges field at Arundel Parrott Academy, and here's that interview. Welcome back to the Neuse Sports Show. Brian Hanks here with Arundel Parrott Academy head football coach Matt Beeman. On this very field in 2 days, Coach, you'll be playing homecoming against the defending state champion, Rocky Mount Faith Christian. First, before we even get started, and it can never be super formal with you, this field, Coach, what in the world? I mean, not that it was bad last year, because it's been a good field, but it's like a completely different field right now. What is going on out here, Coach?
Yes, we have a new grounds guy, Graham Anderson, who actually came from Cutter Creek, and he knows this stuff, and I mean, he's really taking our field to the next level.
It's amazing. What has he done specifically? I think people people like me who've not been out here all season, they're going to be a little surprised. I mean, if they get a chance to walk out on it, it's like walking on carpet. What has he done specifically, Coach?
I think he's just kept it fertilized more irrigation. This is kind of his baby, so he's really taking care of it and really taking things to the next level.
Well, it's just a treat coming out here and walking on that. But let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the Arundel Parrott Academy, Coach. First couple of games this year, you guys come out of the gate. You play 11-man teams, back-to-back, 2 close losses. Since then, you've reeled off 4 wins in a row, all in conference, all getting ready for this week. What has been the difference between those first 2 games and these last 4, Coach?
Well, I think the 11-man games, coming out of it, we were really beat up. And there are a lot of people probably thinking, why is he playing 11-man football, with the roster he has? But what it did, it really helped us build depth. This is the first year. We've had a lot of guys going one way, but this is the first year we have a true first-team defense with 8 people and a first-team offense. We have nobody going both ways. And I think a lot of our games have been close. In the second half, we've kind of pulled away, and I think a lot of that has to be attributed to our depth.
How many teams, and again, I apologize since I've not seen you guys so far this season, but how many teams are able to do that? Is there another team in the NCISAA that's able to do that?
No, there's not. Most everybody has at least 3 or 4 guys going both ways, so we're very fortunate in that. We've had a lot of our sophomores, young guys step up, and I think that's really what's helped separate this team so far.
You've had some injuries. Again, this is the first time we've had a chance to talk to you here on the Neuse Sports Show. And you've had some key injuries. You've done a good job of overcoming those. But talk about it, or tell me about a couple of those players who have who you have lost to injury this season, Coach.
Yeah, we lost our starting quarterback, senior Reynolds Behringer. He went down in the Beargrass game. Actually came back, played for a little bit, re-injured his knee, and then ended up being a torn ACL. So we lost him for the year. Luckily, we've had Wilkes Thomas, a freshman, step up. I mean, he's growing up fast. He's doing a great job for us. We lost John Stocks, who we might get back. He actually fractured his tibia. Those were the 2 major injuries. The others were just, out for a game here or there, but that's our 2 major injuries that we've been able to overcome.
I'm searching my memory banks. I've been here since 2002. Is the last time a freshman started as a quarterback for Parrott Academy? That wouldn't be Britt Crowder, would it?
Yes, that would be Britt Crowder. Yes, it sure would be.
And if he could follow the career path of Britt Crowder, you'd be pretty happy with that, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, no doubt. If he could do that, that would be great for us, and we think Wilkes definitely has the ability to do that.
What do you attribute this 4-game winning streak to, Coach? I mean, again, you lose those 2 close ones, 11-man games, and you come from behind to win that 3rd game, and you guys have been on a roll since then. What do you attribute that winning streak to?
I think it's just a combination of getting healthy. I think in the Beargrass game, we were missing 7 starters. Okay. We went to play Cary Christian after the hurricane that Monday. I think we were down 4 starters. So I think we got healthy. We got Trey McLaughlin back, our running back. And that was huge for us. And then it's just guys just feeding off this confidence. I've had a lot of people come up and tell me after the game Friday, they were like, your sidelines were jumping. You can tell your guys are invested. They know what's going on. And you can really see this team starting to emerge. And, I think it's just a combination of it, getting healthy and then riding that momentum.
speaking of Trey McClawhorn, let me try that again there, Coach. He is the Neuse Athlete of the Week, or the Neuse Athlete of the Week. Coach, what has he meant to this team, especially losing your quarterback as early as you did?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy we can lean on. In the past, he's kind of been he can get us 3-4 yards, but he couldn't really break it. Well, he's worked in the weight room. He's got his 40 down 3 to 4 tenths in the 40, and now he has that breakaway speed. So now we're able to get those big plays from our running game. He's a big physical guy, 6'2", 210. So people don't like to tackle him. And then when they try to go low, actually he hurdled one of the best players in the league last week, and then it got that guy on his toes. So he's just a player, and it's good to when you need a play. I went to a coaching clinic and heard Urban Meyer speak, and he talked about be the one, and that's kind of been one of our mottos. Who's the one? Who's the guy we can count on when we need somebody? And so far he's been the one.
And people who, and again, this is the first time I'm going to get to see you Friday night. I've heard there's been a little bit of offensive philosophy change from the previous few years. I know you've been a spread team and you're not afraid to air it out, and I remember seeing some of the box scores with 300, 400 yards passing. That's not the 2019 Parrott Academy Patriots, is it?
No, it's not. I think we've had less than 10 total passing touchdowns this year. Wow. We're normally throwing at 30, 40 touchdown passes a year. So we're definitely a different team. Our line's big, strong, physical. We have 2 tight ends, and Jonah Beeman and Nick Harrison, who are good pass catchers, but they can block as well. And we have Blake Smith, big fullback for us, and then Trey. So we're just playing to our strengths is what we're doing this year, and that's our run game.
I've heard a lot of people brag about it, and you can't have a successful run game without a great offensive line, and especially in 8-man football, those 3 players are so important that are your offensive linemen. And they're youngsters, too. Tell me a little bit about them.
Yeah, we have Noah Miller, who's starting right guard for us, and then Michael Outlaw, starting guard, who they're both sophomores.
Wow.
And then we have Parker Shepard, who's a junior, who's our starting center. So all 3 of those guys will be back next year. They've really bought into the weight room and bought into what they're doing. And, it's really the strength of our team this year. And, I can't say that about any of our teams in the past. The line has not been our strength, and this year's our strength, so we're relying on them.
You call the offensive plays. How has that adjusted your mindset, again, having been someone that played in this system and then has coached one of the most explosive offenses in 8-man football history in North Carolina, to change your whole philosophy? What has that done for you? What has that done to you?
To me, it's been easier to call plays this year. In the past, we kind of 3 yards was not a good play. We were looking to hurry up and score. Let's get this going. And this year, like I tell the guys, 3 yards is a great play. In the game, Grace Friday night got it to 1 score, and we had a 14-play, 80-yard drive. And I think that wears down defenses too. When you're pounding on them, it really wears them down, and those same guys are playing offense. So, it's really, I've enjoyed it. Like I said, it's been a lot easier to call plays. You don't feel like you had to get it all at one time.
Big game Friday night, like I said, 2 days from right now, and I see your boys out there starting to warm up, Coach. A big game. You're playing the defending state champion, a team that kind of left a little bit of a bad taste in y'all's mouth. You lost to them the last 2 games of the week, and I don't know why I'm reminding you of all this, as you obviously know it, but you lost the last 2 games of the season to them last year, and the last one in very historic fashion in the semifinal. How much is that helping motivate your boys, getting them ready for Friday night's game?
Yeah, they took it to us. They really out-physicaled us, outplayed us, outcoached us, did everything. And I think it was good motivation for our team, for our coaching staff. And we've got a chip on our shoulder for faith. Like I told the guys, I don't want to just beat them. I want to beat them in dominant fashion. So we hadn't had to give a lot of extra motivation. We're just reminding them of what happened last year, and hopefully the team will come out and take care of business Friday night.
It's also homecoming here at Arundel Parrott Academy on Friday night. That's always a big deal. I've had the chance over the years to cover 3 or 4 of these. You're anticipating a really good crowd, I know, but there are no other games in Lenoir County Friday night. Folks need to come out here to see the great team that you guys have this year, don't they?
Yeah, like I say, come out, see some great football Friday night. We're expecting a big crowd. Should be a great Friday night football atmosphere.
Very good. Matt Beeman, head football coach here at Arundel Parrott Academy. Coach, thank you so much. If people knew the behind-the-scenes stuff, last minute the man comes through for us in Neuse. Coach, thank you so much for joining us here on the Neuse Sports Show.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you coming by.
Welcome back to the Neuse Sports Show. Brian Hanks III and Junius Smith. Wait a minute, I got that backwards.
You kind of
again, really want to thank one of the good guys out there. And you know what? All our coaches are good guys, but Matt Beeman pulled us through in a time I really need him to. And I tell you what, he's got a good team right now. They lose their first 2 games of the season, 11-man football games.
Right.
Barely win that 3rd game of the year, but just got enough momentum. Now they're on a 4-game winning streak as they go into Friday night's homecoming game against Rocky Mount Faith Christian. You saw them last week, and this is where I wanted you to talk about. We kind of ran out of time before the interview there. But you walked the sideline. You watched them up in Raleigh against Grace Christian, a very good 5-1 Grace Christian team.
Without question.
And they took them apart. Tell us a little bit about that game.
The thing about it is I was expecting Parrott to be just kind of physical, just up and down, like three yards in a cloud of dust type of deal. And they were very physical. Trey McLaughlin, of course, 32 carries, 243 yards.
Your Neuse Athlete of the Week.
Without question. And I mean, but no, seriously, I was impressed by his running and also Blake Smith. But not only that, freshman Wilkes Thomas, he threw for 216 yards, 210 in the first half. Really looked poised out there, subbing in for Reynolds Behringer, who's out with an ACL injury.
And you heard in the interview there, and it's one of those things. I didn't do the research on it, Junius. I just was talking to him, like how we both do interviews all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I go, wait a minute, okay, Wilkes, what's his last name?
Thomas.
Wilkes Thomas, the freshman quarterback. The last freshman that started at quarterback for Parrott Academy was
Bethel Christian coach Brett Crowder.
How crazy is that? So just a little bit of history. Just funny how everything ties in together there. One of the things, and you heard me ask Coach Beeman this too, but I wanted your impression. The whole time you've been here, and I know that for a fact, you've never seen Rendell Parrott Academy be a ground and pound team. You've seen them spread. You've seen them throw for 400 yards, have a receiver catch 250 yards of passes. That's not this year's team, is it?
Not at all. I mean, I've been blessed to see some of the quarterbacks like Connor Bright and then see some of the running backs like Davis Baisden and, Shot Thompson, Christian Jones, wide receivers like Matthew Huntley, A.J. Banker. Wow, I really know a lot of these kids.
Yes, you do. You do.
But, again, they've kind of decided to be a little more conservative. And, as time has gone on, Wilkes Thomas has gotten more comfortable. He's found Nick Harrison out there on the outside. He's been able to get it out to Trey as far as like the screen passes and things of that nature. Jonah Beeman is coming into his own as a receiver. So as time goes on, the scary part about Parrott, they're only getting stronger.
And on top of that, too, the offensive line, which in 8-man football, people need to realize, especially if you're a ground and pound team, those 3 offensive linemen are key, 2 sophomores and a junior.
Exactly. And I mean, they've got a lot of ability, and as that defense continues to kind of come into their own, this could be a very, very scary team.
It really could. I know when you look at the Max Preps adjusted rankings, they're the number 1 8-man team in the state, aren't they?
Right. I mean, those 2 11-man games, they may look bad as far as like wins and loss record, but if you look at 8-man, they're 4-0.
How far can this Parrott Academy team? I'm going to see them Friday night. I haven't had a chance to see them all this year, and I know you've seen them twice, I think, or was that the first time?
No, I've seen them twice. I saw them. I actually traveled to Williamston, Bear Grant charter, which is crazy in its own right. And then, in Raleigh I kind of need to go cover a Parrott home game.
Yes, you do. But it's a different experience now, isn't it? It's almost, and that's one of the neat things about talking to Coach Matt Beeman. All he has coached is that spread. He has completely changed his whole philosophy, hasn't he?
And it also shows the type of coach that Matt Beeman is. The fact that he's able to adjust on the fly, look at what his team's strengths are, and just go with that.
How much do they want to win this game Friday night?
Oh my goodness! I haven't had any conversation with Matt Beeman about this upcoming opponent, but they want to win this one badly.
I'll say this, and you heard the interview where Coach said they're not putting the brakes on. Especially after the way they gave up 72 points. It's a school record. Parrott Academy's been playing football since 1971. They've never given up 72 points before in a game. It's on there. When you go in their weight room, they've got 72 up there. These guys remember it.
As a matter of fact, I remember it because Graham and I went to that game. We actually broadcasted that game. And it was wild from the start.
Absolutely. So, Parrott Academy, they'll be taking a Rocky Mount Faith. It is, as we said, a rematch of last year's 8-man semifinals, and Faith won that 72-30. In fact, you heard me ask coaches too. It wasn't just that final game. They lost to them in back-to-back weeks. They lost to them in the last regular season game. They lost to them in that playoff game too.
So there's going to be a lot of revenge on the minds of Patriots.
Very good. Well, we've got 4 other games that are taking place here in our Neuse News coverage area, and we've got some really big games. We'll hit these real quick. Kinston is 4-3 overall. They're 1-1 in the Eastern Carolina 2A. They travel to Vanceboro to take on West Craven. West Craven is 4-2, 2-0. Kinston won last year 14-6 in Vanceboro, and I'm just telling you, this is a big game, isn't it?
This is unquestionably the game of the week.
Oh, you think so?
I
I
really
got
think
one.
so.
I got another one that I think could qualify for that. But I agree with you. How important is it for? Obviously, Kinston needs one if they want to have any chance of winning the Eastern Carolina 2A the way the coaches picked them to do. But it's important for them to show well, especially losing 2 weeks ago at home to Washington,
Right.
beating South Lenoir last week 53-0. They really they've got something to prove, don't they?
Without question. And West Craven, the way that they were able to overwhelm Aiden Grifton, it shows not only just the strength of this conference, but also that West Craven is definitely a player in this one.
Very good. Another very important game, and just don't look at overall records here, folks. South Lenoir is 2-4 overall. They're 0-2 in the conference. They travel to Snow Hill to take on Green Central, who's 3-3 and 0-1. And South Lenoir, when you talk to Jeremy Joyner, the head football coach down there, they want to make the state playoffs. And it's a legit goal for them, but they have to win this game on Friday to make it to the playoffs, don't they? I don't see any other way. Do you?
Not at all. I mean, they definitely have to come into Snow Hill with a victory. They're playing a Rams team that is going to be enjoying their homecoming. And Green Central, they've got a 6-year playoff streak as well, so they want to extend that, and they need this game in order to make it happen.
Okay, the next game, and we should tell everybody, North Lenoir is off this week after losing to Washington last week. Their bye week is this week, so they've got a little bit of time to lick their wounds and get ready for the rest of the conference schedule. So they are off this week. Okay, Bethel is 3-2 overall, and they travel to Halifax is 6-1. And Bethel, I'm telling you, they have just had the weirdest schedule, and not even in a good way. With what happened with the fight against Wayne
Christian,
Wayne
Goldsboro
Christian.
Homeschool.
And so they didn't get to play but like half a first quarter of that game, or maybe 8 minutes of a first quarter in that game. Then they have Wilson Community Christian cancels their game. I think they had a bye in there too. If I'm correct, I think they've only played one full game in the past month. So it was against this Halifax team that they lost 70-48 September 27th.
Well, you also have to remember that Bethel was missing 3 or 4 starters on defense from that game, and it got to the point where they actually had to put a running clock in there, despite the fact that there wasn't even a running clock thing in play.
Absolutely. So that's a big game for them. And the final game in our neck of the woods, and this is the game that I think is the game of the week in our neck of the woods. Aiden Grifton is 4-1 overall. They're 0-1 in the conference. They are traveling to Little Washington to take on the Pam Pack, who is 6-1, 2-0. And I have to respectfully disagree with you, dude. I really think this is the game of the week because we're going to see for sure, is Washington for real? And I'm telling you now, if Washington wins that game, they are winning the Eastern Carolina 2A, in my opinion.
I got to take away that unquestionably game of the week thing. I mean, I still feel like that Kinston West Craven game is going to be extremely vital. And you know what? I will put it down as my game of the week, but right under that is this one.
So 1A is Kinston at West Craven. Is this 1B?
I mean,
there you go.
Aiden Grifton versus Washington. Aiden Grifton, of course, they're going to be foaming at the mouth because they lost to West Craven last week. And then Washington, again, this is yet another proving game. And like I said, the Eastern Carolina Conference is no joke this year.
It absolutely is not. Again, those games that are going to be played on Friday night are going to be, and yes, I lost my place there, Rocky Mount Faith at Parrott Academy. You've got Kinston at West Craven, South Lenoir at Green Central, Bethel at Halifax, Aiden Grifton at Washington. All those games are at 7.
Right.
Correct? Okay, very good. One more time, let's thank our sponsors. And if you're wondering, why aren't they doing their picks? Brian didn't get it ready. Brian Hanks didn't get it ready, but we'll put it in the comments underneath here. We'll let you know how we did last week, and we'll let you know who we're picking this week. Heck, we'll let you know who we're picking right now. Rocky Mount Faith at Parrott.
I'm going with Parrott.
I am too. Kinston at West Craven.
Oh, this is a good. You know what? Kinston, do not let me down on this one.
I'm going with Kinston too. I think they've got enough momentum. And this isn't just a homer pick. I really think the Vikings are going to win that. South Lenoir at Green Central.
I'm going with the Rams on this one.
I am too. I think it's going to be a closer game than people probably think.
Right.
And especially, listen, South Lenoir, the last time they beat Green Central was in 1994. You know who the head coach was in 1994 of South Lenoir?
Jimmy Smith.
Head coach Jimmy Smith. Hall of Fame coach Jimmy Smith. Bethel at Halifax.
I'm going with Bethel. I feel like now that they've got their people coming back, they should be able to go into Halifax and get a victory.
Coach Crowder, don't be mad at me. I'm going with Halifax. I really think. I think it's going to be tough integrating those players back into the system. I think Halifax is going to win that. And then the game of the week in our area, Aiden. See, now Diesel's going to be mad at me. Don't be mad at me, Diesel. Aiden Grifton at Washington.
I'm going with Aiden Grifton on this one.
I am too. I think Paul Cornwell has had a couple weeks to get, or he's ready for them. Not that he had a couple weeks to get ready for West Craven. West Craven's really good. I think Aiden Grifton is going to show that Washington is just not as good as we all think they are.
I will say this: I feel like it's going to be a much closer game than you may
really
believe.
I'm thinking 28-14, Aiden Grifton.
I'll say 28-21.
Very good. Again, let's thank our sponsors for sponsoring the Neuse Sports Show. Thank you so much to. I tell you what, why don't you do Lenoir Community College first?
All right, I got you. Lenoir Community College's Quick Jobs program provides training so you can get to work in less than 6 months.
And because LCC partners with area employers, you can find not only a job, but Junior Smith III, you can find a new lifelong career.
Brian Hanks, jobs currently in demand include heating, ventilation and air conditioning, electrical wiring, energy distribution systems, manufacturing, truck driver training, and welding.
Tuition assistance may be available, Junior Smith III, as well as nationally recognized credentials.
Brian Hanks, it's a new year and a new you. So let LCC empower you to get the job and career you've always hoped for.
To learn about quick jobs, call 252-527-6223, extension 714, and ask for Richie Honeycutt, okay? When
Definitely.
you call, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Or you can enroll at lenoircc.edu/quickjobs.
All right, and we also have to thank KC Crop Insurance because they're here to serve all your crop insurance needs. With over 50 years of combined experience, they take pride in excellent customer service.
Give the KC Crop Insurance folks a call at 252-522-9613. Again, that's 252-522-9613, and tell them Junior Smith III and Neuse News sent you.
Definitely. And again, speaking of Neuse News, if you have not subscribed to the Neuse newsletter, come on, you got to get into the game.
What is wrong with you if you haven't done that?
Brian, how easy is it?
It is ridiculously easy. All you have to do is go to the top of the page, you click on it, and that's all you have to do. And I am looking for and I hate this, throw our names up there on the screen. Let me get my glasses out here. Thank you to, of course, Dr. Travis Town, the executive producer of this show every week. You're looking at him. Wave at him, Dr. Town. And Kajay Cobb, he's our assistant producer.
Najee, man.
Najee. Oh, Najee. The K throws me off, man. I'm sorry. UNC Charlotte, okay? You'll have to forgive me. And as always, BJ Murphy, the publisher of Neuse News. Thank you so much to him. Listen, what a fun week. A lot of good football that's going to be taking place this week. Please go out and support these kids. And again, it just puts things in perspective with what happened at Jones Senior Junior. And we're not going to talk about it anymore, but just to realize, like you said, those kids walked off the field, they didn't realize that was going to be their last game ever, some of them wearing the Jones Senior football colors. You've got a chance this week to go out and support these young people in Lenoir County and Greene County and Aiden Grifton and all that. Please go out and do that this week.
These are student athletes, guys and girls that go out there, put in work in the classroom. And I'm not just talking about football. I mean, just basically all the sports. But they go out there, they put in work in the classroom, and then they go out there on the field to entertain us and do whatever they can to make sure that they're able to lock down scholarships. So whether they get those or they do other things after high school, just show your love and support for what these amazing people do. Absolutely. I couldn't say it any better myself. Thank you, Junior Smith III. I am Brian Hanks. Thank you so much for watching the Neuse News Sports Show. We will be back next Wednesday at 4:30 here on your favorite Facebook Neuse News feed. We'll see you next Wednesday here on the Neuse News Sports Show.